So people, so the BH BiLD Expo 2025 has come to an end. Now, this is a free event that BH throws every year. Well, hopefully it's every year because they did it last year and they did it this year. So hopefully it's an ongoing event. And there were a lot of people, a lot of booths, and a lot of fun things. There weren't any like new tech reveals or anything like that. So if you've seen things at NAB, for the most part, it was the same thing. It was just local to the New Yorkers and the tri-state area. So for the most part, a lot of the representatives at the booths were pretty engaging and they were pretty friendly. So for instance, I had my Komodo X Stormtrooper and I had a camel wrap. And I was able to go to the red booth and I was able to meet the CEO as well. He took a picture of my camera and he said he was going to send it to Jared. I also was able to ask him a few questions. You know me, I asked him about any new cameras in the future or in the close future, maybe this year. Obviously, he wasn't able to answer that. So I asked him a more reasonable question about like the OG Komodo, like if there is going to be any more support for it. And he said, yeah, there's going to be support. So if you're buying a new OG Komodo that's like 3,000 from B&H or wherever, or even buying it used, you're still going to get support for that camera in the far future. So you have nothing to worry about. Now, remember when I said, for the most part, a lot of the booths and the representatives were friendly and they were pretty engaging. Not so really for Aputure or the Sennheiser booth. Well, for the Aputure booth, I walked up there and I see that the representative was speaking to one of the users and he was talking to him normally and I just waited my turn, and after he finished he just went straight on his phone. So I'm like, all right, cool, he probably didn't see me and etc. So I just stayed there in front of him and he literally walked off and he went to a corner and he just did what he did. I had to literally say excuse me in order to get his attention so he can come back over and speak to me about some different things. All right, cool. It's New York. It didn't really faze me. So I went to the Sennheiser booth now. And this lady, which I was really close to in proximity, she was speaking to a person. And then after she wrapped up that conversation, she looked at him and she was like, thank you very much. And she walked right in front of me to the other side where the other representatives were standing. So I'm like, hey, bro, I know I'm not a big YouTuber or I don't have a huge following, but I still want to know some information about these things that you're selling. And I have a ton of Sennheiser products as well. So, you know, that left a bad taste in my mouth. But for the most part, the other booths were really friendly and really engaging. So I'm going to share with you 5 booths that I went to that explain a whole lot about their products. I mean, these were the booths that I was interested in, and it can do a way better job than me when it comes to explaining it because, you know, they work for these corporations. So the first company up is Lectrosonics, and this is what they had to say.
So this is the Lectrosonics wireless microphone systems. These are the top-end systems used for all the big Hollywood productions, episodic television, a lot of reality television. And these units are all US made. And what we're looking at is a range of digital and digital hybrid wireless mic systems. So for instance, a small belt pack unit like this would be placed on the Talent. They would have a miniature microphone going to this unit, and then this is going to transmit a digital signal to some kind of receiver. So we have portable receivers like this one, we have rack receivers like these over here, and those would pick up the signal. But the most common type of configuration for field production is going to be a bag system, something like this. So what we have here is 2 of those 4-channel digital portable receivers, and they're docked into a unit that is a mixer recorder made by Sound Devices. So this gives us 8 different wireless mic channels. So let's say you could have a wireless boom and some lavalier mics all being recorded onto isolated tracks here, and then that would be imported into your post-production suite. I've also got a digital monitor signal coming out of the headphone jack into this digital transmitter here. Let me flip this thing around. So we have this this digital stereo transmitter here that's coming from the headphone feed. And then this was a portable digital receiver that, like your boom operator, could be listening to the mix while booming to make sure that they're on axis. So extremely portable and lightweight for it's basically a portable recording studio, right? 8 channels of wireless mics, 8 tracks of recording, all solid state, all digital. So this is our latest little transmitter, and it's quite small. It's this unit here. It's a digital belt pack transmitter, but it's IP57 rated watertight, which means it can be submerged under a meter of water for at least half an hour. So normally, your talent's not going to be underwater doing a production shoot, but they might sweat a lot, or it might be a scene involving rain or water, or they might get thrown into the pool or whatever it is, and you don't have to worry about the unit getting damaged. The small digital belt pack transmitter that's watertight is about $2,500. The 4-channel portable receiver like this is about $4,500. And of course, it's all US made. It's all metal construction and absolute top shelf quality in terms of sound and the radio reliability.
He also dropped some very important knowledge that I didn't even know. He said that the same company that owns Lectrosonics is the same company that owns Rode.
That's right. So it's the Friedman Audio Group out of Australia. They own Rode, they own Mackie, and they own Lectrosonics and a couple of other pro audio brands.
So I work for Lewitt, and we have some of our microphones here and audio interfaces. These are some of our most popular models for both recording as well as like podcasting and live streaming.
Okay, so what mic is this? Because this mic right here is like, it looks very high tech.
Yeah, this is Ray. So Ray is pretty new. It came out last year, and it's based on our best-selling mic, the LCT 440 Pure, in terms of the capsule and the overall sound. But what's really unique about it is this sensor on the front. So it's able to continuously measure your distance from the mic and dynamically adjust your level and tone so that you always sound like you're in the sweet spot. So for podcasters, this can save you a ton of editing time because if you have somebody talking into the mic who's moving back, moving forward during the interview, you don't have to adjust that in post. It's getting compensated for on the spot in real time.
Okay, and it has like a muting feature?
Yeah, so it has a mute button, and then it also has a feature called mute by distance. So you can hold down the mute button and stand in front of it, and it'll mark where you're standing, and that'll become the threshold where if you move any further, it'll mute you, and if you move closer, it'll unmute. And so this is, great if you want to automatically be muted when you push the microphone away, stuff like that. Again, super useful if you're live streaming or doing a podcast interview, something like that.
Okay, so tell me about your best-selling mic.
Yeah, so over here, that would be the LCT 440 Pure. This one's $299, and it's just an all-around great mic for recording acoustic guitars, guitar amps, vocals, drums. It really has a wide dynamic range and a very low self-noise of only 7 dB. So this is often one that I'll recommend for anyone, whether they're getting into recording or podcasting or voiceover, what have you.
How does it compare to something like the SM7B?
So the SM7B is a dynamic microphone, so they're going to sound quite different in that the 440 is going to give you a lot more high-end detail and clarity, and it's really designed in a way where it takes really minimal EQ to get it to sound present and forward in a mix. So this is usually a much more turnkey option for getting a natural sound with minimal EQ needed later.
Great. Thank you very much.
Hi guys, my name is Justin Draculas, and I work for Tokina Cinema, and I've been working here for about 6.5 years. So what I have right in front of me, so to your left, I have the original Vista Prime series, and on your right, I have the Vista P series. So to start, in 2016, we first launched the Vista series in the 35, 50, and 85, and now we have up to 12 different focal lengths, ranging from 18 to 180 millimeters. So the 18 to 135, they're all T1.5, with the 180 being an exception, being T1.9. And the Vista series starts at $6,000 US. And then on your right, we have the Vista Ps. So basically, they're a factory detuned or factory modified version of the original Vista series. So what we did, or our optical engineers did, is that they added air gapping within the lens to create air spacing, basically. So what that does is that it creates a swirly bokeh Pesval type effect, which is reminiscent of the older vintage Helios lenses.
Okay, so if I have a original Tokina Vista Prime, can I send it into Tokina to turn it into a Vista P?
Yes, that's correct. So you can email us directly at the email address tokinacinema@fktamerica.com, and we can provide you with a quote directly. So you'd be sending us in your lenses to our office in Huntington Beach, California. The upgrade service is $26.25, and the turnaround is about 60 to 90 days. So we'll be sending out your lenses to our factory in Japan for that upgrade service.
Yeah, hi, my name is Ha-Jun. I'm with Atlas Lens Co. We're at BiLD Expo 2025. We're showcasing the Orion series and the Mercury series. The Orion series were the first series that we came up with back in 2016, our most mature lens line. They are 2x anamorphic lenses, which means the squeeze ratio is by two times. It takes into twice the amount of field of view. And it is a Super 35 lens, but some of them can do a full frame of something like the Sony FX series. We also have the Mercury series that go from 24mm all the way to 138. We're actually announcing 24, 27, 32 as our new lenses of the wider end of the Mercuries. They are 1.5 squeeze with a full frame coverage and even beyond. The 65mm like the Alexa 265, the GFX Eterna, and even the Ursa Cine 17K, they cover that with no issue for a 2:40 aspect ratio. You're seeing me through the Orion 18mm, the widest anamorphic lens in the world. The Orions, of course, are a classic blue streak flare compared to the Mercury series that are amber gold flare. This 18mm goes pretty crazy. Like, it goes all the way to 18 inches, which is about here. This is a pretty crazy perspective over here, and I really like how it embraces the characteristics of the ultrawide and the fisheye nice kind of. But if you want a more controlled wide aspect ratio, wide field of view, something like the 25 maybe, shot on they shot our lenses with Honora, and that really famous perspective of them going through the Las Vegas Strip, I believe, with a shot on 25mm, and they're being used in the industry, and you get to use them for yourself for a much affordable price compared to the big boys like the Cook anamorphics and whatnot. And that's why we're here. We're democratizing cinematography by allowing people access to these lenses that used to be prohibitively expensive, but also just inaccessible even if you had the money.
Yeah, so these are the Enzo primes. These are actually prototypes. You can see they're missing the markings, but these came out at the end of 2024. The core set consists of 6 lenses, starts at the 18mm, 24, 32, 47, 75, and 105. And they all are LPL mounted. Okay, they have on the back side, each lens comes with a net holder. These net holders can be configured with different nets, like you can see here. They pop on with a magnet and it gives you a different effect. There's also the option to work with vintage elements, right? These are Enzo vintage elements. Same principle. They pop on the back of the camera, back of the lens with a magnet, and it changes the look and the characteristics of these lenses. In this specific case, the positive ones, they create a little glow, right? And they change the bokeh. They change the bokeh in the background, and they change the bokeh in the foreground based on using negative or positive filters. So essentially you can get out of one lens, you can get 6 different looks. What else is special about these lenses that they have the ability to give you a 1:4 magnification. When you're at the close focal point of the lens, they all give you the same 1:4 magnification. It's not like a macro, but it's ideal for tabletop photography, where you can go super close to a burger or something else, and then you can pull back, and it's a regular lens. Other than that, the lens is physically smaller. They're less expensive than the signature primes. So a set of 6 lenses and the vintage elements is $87,000, roughly. And you can buy them at B&H.
Yeah, so there was a lot of other things going on, like a whole lot of other speakers, and there was like this VR type of thing, virtual reality, big old screen that they had set up with like a car, and you see the background on the LED wall moving. It was really cool. That's where they had like the Sony Venice 2, and I was able to see things like the Blackmagic 17K, which was a beautiful camera because I've worked with the Ursa 12K LF, and that looks nice. So the 17K is gonna be amazing. There was a lot going on at the Canon booth. There was like a sea of people surrounding the Canon booth, and you were not able to make your way up to the front. There was a lot of speakers there, and there was just a lot going on. There weren't a lot of people at the Sony booth. It was kind of empty at the Sony booth. I know that's kind of hurtful for the Sony fanboys, but that's the reality. You were able to just walk up and grab the FX2, put your SD card in there, and take test videos and test photos. You were able to even speak to the Sony representatives. That's how desolate that place was. Desolate is crazy. But yeah, that's how it was. But overall, it was a good experience. You're going to be able to meet a whole lot of people that you see on YouTube and etc. Other people that's just doing stuff in the city, like photographers and videographers. It's a good place to connect. And again, it's free. So if you can make it next year, try to make it next year. Also, if you want any other information about any of the products that you've seen in this video, comment down in the comment section, and I'm gonna get back to you as soon as possible. So leave a like and subscribe if you want, and I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Peace.